for making that investment in your business and taking the time to come here and learn more. And I want to acknowledge and realize that you being away from your business is very. I hear comments from the crowd already. I love it. It's very close to you, and it takes a lot of your time, and it's very precious. And as I said. It is an investment for you to be here just with your time and resources. So I want to acknowledge that and appreciate you coming. My name is Diana Torres. I am the Director of Economic Development for the City of Kyle. So I've been in Central Texas for about 14 years, actually a little over 14 years, and seen a lot of changes and a lot of growth, and we love to see that, especially with small businesses. Also want to thank the governor's office for putting this on and for including the entire region, the reach down to south of the river. As we hear a lot about, oh, you're south of the river. Well, yeah, but we're not in Egypt. So we're very happy to be included, and I want to thank the PCDC for also thinking about us. We have a brilliant panel of business people here that are going to be sharing some great gems with you all today about building a brand. We've heard a little bit this morning from some of the other speakers and some of the other sessions about how they approach marketing and building their brand and that kind of thing. So I'm really curious to get the perspective from our panelists here. I'm just going to go through their bios and introduce them to you. As I said, we've got some really great experience that covers a broad gamut of business, so we're hoping that it'll be very beneficial to you. This morning we have Amy Stansbury with Typhoon, Texas. Amy's career in marketing, public relations, and journalism spans more than 20 years in Central Texas. She is proud to have a diverse experience working at an advertising agency, high-tech firms, global corporations, and a successful news organization to build her own PR business. Amy currently is marketing at Typhoon, Texas, promoting both Pflugerville and Katy Water Park locations. She enjoys working in a collaborative atmosphere for a growing company. I'll probably also say family. Prior to Typhoon, Texas, Amy was self-employed for 10 years operating Stansbury Public Relations. She provided marketing, communications, and media relations strategy for a wide variety of small to medium-sized businesses, nonprofit organizations, economic development corporations, including Pflugerville Community Development Corporation. Amy was the editor of the Round Rock Pflugerville edition of the Community Impact newspaper from 2007 to 2009, and is proud to have sent her last paper to print just a few hours before delivering her third daughter. That's pretty impressive. Amy previously served on the board of directors for Women Impacting the Nation and Texas Women in Business, both nonprofit organizations aimed at connecting, supporting, and educating women in business and in life. She is also a graduate of the Round Rock Chamber of Commerce's 3-year Ascend program for young leaders. Amy was born in Austin and raised in Round Rock and earns a Bachelor of Science in Journalism at the University of North Texas, where she also fulfilled her dream of playing college soccer. Amy has lived in Pflugerville for 18 years and stays busy with her partner Shay, together raising their 4 daughters. Next on our panel, we have Julie Albertson, a dear friend of mine from Kyle, Texas, with the Texas Pie Company. Julie is the founder and CEO of the Texas Pie Company, baking professionally for restaurants in Central Texas for over 30 years. She has the ability and right to call herself the grand champion of HEB's 2016 Quest for Texas Best and is a member of Kyle's Economic Development and Tourism Board. Our next panelist is Marvin Smith with Spectrum Marketing and Public Relations. Marvin is a North Louisiana native and president of Spectrum Marketing and PR. His firm provides consulting services to businesses and organizations in the areas of marketing, public relations, advertising, social media, business development, and event planning. His expertise has been provided to Fortune 500 companies and other organizations, including Chick-fil-A, Constant Contact, Keller Williams Realty, the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, Hilton Hotels, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana, and Louisiana's Governor's Office Solutions to Poverty Initiative. Marvin received his Bachelor's of Science degree in Finance and Marketing from Louisiana Tech University, and he has actively served on many economic development and community organization boards, providing technical assistance to government agencies and nonprofits. Marvin recently relocated to Austin in 2018, where he has launched his practice to serve Texas businesses and organizations. Smart move, Marvin. And then last but certainly not least, we have Jason Kemp with the Growler Bar. I'm sure some of you are probably already familiar with that. Jason Kemp is the owner and operator of the Growler Bar and Kitchen in Pflugerville, a local craft beer and wine bar and pizzeria. Jason enjoys giving back to the Pflugerville community that has supported his business so often to find him at local charity events, festivals, and other local gatherings. He also served on the city's Transportation Planning Oversight Committee and was a board member for the Pflugerville Education Foundation. Prior to opening the Growler Bar and Kitchen, he worked for the state of Texas for 10 years and has bought and sold several real estate investments. He has a bachelor's degree and completed graduate coursework from Texas State University. Jason has lived in Pflugerville for over 10 years with his wife Haley, and they are proud parents of two amazing kids, Carson and Kenzie. So with that, you all can see the expertise that we have in front of the room and what range you will be able to cover. So keep in mind if you have any questions that come up during, we would love to have them field those questions at the end. So let's jump right in. As we heard this morning, some of our experts already have given some advice. But what is your advice that you would give to any small business or entrepreneur in their efforts of marketing? A pretty general question, and then we'll drill down in some of the other questions, but just at a high level, what would be the first piece of advice that you would give?
Do you want me to start? Are we going to go in order? Okay. I guess the first piece of advice is really know your audience. You've heard this time and time again. Really think about what that means. Who would buy your product? Who frequents your store? Who would enjoy that experience? And when you think about who they are, think about every aspect of who they are: the demographics, the gender, the age, the personality, where they live, every detail. You know, what their cautions would be, what would inspire them to show up or not. You know, pull the trigger and buy, not buy. Think about those details, because everything you do in marketing is going to be affected by that.
Julie, what would you? Yeah.
So what we did when we first opened in Kyle is actually we reached out to our community and asked them what they wanted from us. So we targeted our menu by what our community said they wanted. We were pie, but we don't live by pie alone. So we have a restaurant as well. So when they came to us and asked us for family meals, or they asked us for casseroles to go, we tried to implement whatever they suggested to us. So if a customer came in, we asked them, if you're here to buy a pie, what else would you like to see from us? So we did direct marketing with our community. We also reached out to all of our school districts. We reached out to the chambers. We also reached out to our city government and partnered with them on many levels. This was in the beginning. We've been in business for over 30 years. We've been in Kyle for 20. I think that's one of the things that really gave us the longest longevity is our customers, even though we have a huge customer base now, our customers still feel like they have the opportunity to change our business at any time. They are, for $3, they own a part of me. You know, I mean, that sounds silly, but they do. Every dollar that comes in that door, they own a part of us. So anything that they have to make us better, to make us grow, we are always open and receptive to whatever they have to say about it. I mean, if it's changing a menu, if it's adding something on, running a special, we do pretty much everything the customer asks of us, and that way they feel like they have part ownership in the growth of our business. And it's really worked well for us. It gives back 100-fold.
For me, in representing organizations like Chick-fil-A, it's very important to understand your product and the service that you're offering. We had in other sessions earlier where people were asking the question, if I have a service rather than a product, how do I navigate that system of promoting it? And a lot of people offer services, whether it's in my personal business as a consultant in marketing and PR, that's a service, but I also have to realize it's a product. I work a lot with what your purpose is. You really need to understand that your product or service has a purpose for someone. when you buy that product or service if you were on the other side of the counter. And that to me is very important. In the role I played with Chick-fil-A in helping market and promote that, it is very, very intense when you have to also evaluate your competitors and see what they're doing. You're not looking to copy them and just try and find something else that you can attach onto and ride the wave for a while. You need to find out where's their longevity in the business that you're planning to promote and you're planning to start. If there's no longevity there, maybe you're looking at just trying to promote a product for a season and not necessarily trying to build a business over time. So really identifying your purpose is first and foremost. If you don't have a purpose in what it is that you're doing and that you're bringing value to the community, then you may need to step back and do another assessment. One other thing that to me is very important, because I come from a Chamber of Commerce background, that was the place that I learned about how business and communities work and how they grow. And I always encourage my clients, the first thing we need to do is join the chamber. If you're not an active member, that's one of the places where you need to go to learn and understand what networking really is. Networking is more than going to a business after hours, getting a drink, and saying I win. It's really understanding and going there with a purpose. I don't go to events without going there with a purpose. I want to know who's on the agenda. I want to know who's on the list. And I have a goal. There are people that I need to meet, and there are people that need to meet me, because it's about really sharing information and sharing resources. And I walked in here today. I found a good friend of mine at the door. I just bumped into her. Priscilla is here somewhere. Maybe Priscilla with Regis Bank. That's my banker. And she and I have been talking about this event for several months. I didn't know if she was going to make it, and I just bumped into her in the hallway. And she's here. But there's a lot of opportunity for you in really understanding what networking is and the value of connecting with people. So I encourage you, during the break, during lunch, find people to introduce yourself to, kind of break away from the shyness and realize that you do have something to offer.
Yeah, same thing that they were saying, and wow, I wish I'd have known these three people before I started my business. Full wealth of knowledge, as you can see. But yeah, as a small business owner and somebody who might have an idea, whether it's going to be within your community or even outside of your community, nationally, worldwide, whatever it may be, you do, and you heard it again, you need to define your audience, define your product, what it is, and have, as Marvin was saying too, you know, what's your mission, what's your goal, you know, that is your mission statement. Now, with that, once you kind of define what you want, what product or service you do want to provide to this community or what customer base, you know, at least what I did, I didn't necessarily have some of these resources and had to go and figure them out myself. And so that's something, you know, the internet is huge. It's got a wealth of information. Not all of it's correct, obviously, but some is. But again, for my particular instance, I was local, was in a community, so I did these things and went and met community leaders and met the people out in the community, went to different gatherings and events and whatnot, and really got to meet people and networked, as they were saying. And so I met a lot of really cool people and some really smart people, and I just asked those questions, and that was the biggest thing on anything you don't know. Try and find somebody, a mentor or whoever, and really ask questions. I had some really good friends, and there's some in the crowd here that gave me some of that advice, and they have today, that's helped me become successful, and I really do appreciate that. But I think that's really the high level there is, you know, there is information out there. Go find it, go ask, go to the local community, you know, city offices, chamber. Here we have the PCDC. They're very helpful with information that I needed.
So we're living in such a fast-paced, changing world right now, and your audience can be fickle. So I'm going to target this question to Marvin and Amy. What do you see or predict changing in the next 5 to 10 years with marketing your business and really getting to your reach or your audience that you really want to target?
I would say that, one, social media is driving a lot of business, and people did not embrace just getting connected to the internet 20 years ago. I've struggled when I worked at the Chamber of Commerce to get some of the members to understand that you need to get a website. And they thought, well, we're just going to stick with word of mouth. And word of mouth, you know, 3 years later, didn't support their business. So now we realize that people are connected with their phones and mobile devices unlike anything else that we've ever seen. And that's going to continue to grow. And when you talk about customers being fickle, I can use my role in working with Chick-fil-A. There was a little Twitter war that happened a couple of months ago, and we had lines. We typically have our line at our stores, but then there were other people that had lines down the highway for a new product that was out. And
we won't mention any names.
We won't mention any names. I tried the product, but
You have to know your competition.
You have to know your competition. And we saw a lot of engagement on social media at that time. I mean, there were videos, there were memes, reality shows were being thrown out. There was a lot of traction around something so simple. And that product had actually already been on the market back in February, but somehow people just missed it. But what we really want to do when you talk about having customers that are fickle and the wait times and markets shift, you want to make sure that you stay engaged. Whoever is handling marketing for your business, if that's you, one thing that Priscilla and I were talking about during the break is when you have a small business and you're wearing all of those hats, you're the CPA, you're the accountant, you're the designer, you're the marketing person, you're doing HR, you're doing insurance and everything else, you need to get to a point where you will outsource some of that. You can't continue to wear all those hats because if you do, that's going to prevent you from being able to stay on top of what the trends are. So being willing to let go of some of the things that you kind of hold near and dear, whether it's the checkbook or whether it's marketing, whether it's community involvement, you have to realize that you can't do it all. So one of the trends that I'm seeing and that I expect to see is more small business owners reaching out and outsourcing some of that work so they can really evaluate what's going on within their particular industry.
Amy?
I love everything you said, and staying engaged is key. I wrote down a few thoughts. Staying engaged and then also staying calm. So I have, especially on social media, I have seen business owners engage publicly in wars with upset guests. And they're dear friends of mine even at times. I'm like texting them like, delete that, do not say that. I know, so I handled the social media directly myself for the past year at the water park in Austin. And you get all kinds of people sometimes get upset, and sometimes it's rightfully so. We employ over 600 people who a lot of them is their first job ever. They're teenage. I have 4 kids in the house. I can't even manage them. And so it's like we're doing our best to train this new workforce. So there's things that happen sometimes, right? But I take it offline and then make sure you're in the right mindset. And if you're not, walk away. It is better to delay your response than it is to respond mad. Talk to people. I would say, I'm sorry, I just don't understand where this person's coming from right now. This is what they told me. And I would talk to other people in the office or even my husband, like, what do you think about this? And get other perspectives. It really kind of helps you, because the bottom line is their concerns are usually valid. The way they handle them may not be appropriate, but their concerns are usually valid. And if you take it all, I know we always say at the park, we will always make it right. But I take it offline, because if I'm like saying, well, sure, here's 4 free tickets, come back next weekend, then I've got 40,000 followers going, ooh, I can get free tickets that way, so I stay engaged, stay calm, take it offline. Say, hey, I sent you a DM, please, keep an eye out for it, or could you private message me your phone number? I get people on the phone. The other thing is, like, listen to them. They may be irate, but hear them. Not just let them scream, but hear them. Try to set the emotion aside and get to the issue, and then ask them what do they want. I'm not sure if we're going down a rat's hole with what you were asking, but to me, when I think fickle, I think of upset or dissension, and so that's where my mind was going. And then finally, people do business with people, and I think a lot of times people are very surprised to say, will you send me a DM? My name is Amy, I'm the director of marketing, here's my phone number, call me. They're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I just wanted to get mad on social media. And I can't tell you, 9.5 times out of 10, I turn them around, because we're people. So I think that don't lose sight of that. Even if you do outsource your marketing, still make sure that your marketing person, that they understand that you want a person and you want to have a human contact. So.
And the other thing, you want to avoid, as you mentioned in the onset, you want to avoid engaging in and getting into confrontations on social media. Again, that's where a lot of people have connections. They download your app, they're on your website, they're engaged at a very high level. So be careful, because the one thing you don't want to do is have to do that standard text or tweet that everyone else does. I apologize to anyone who may have been offended. I hate that statement. And I work with a lot of politicians. I hate that statement. I try to avoid them having to use that. So if you will, again, one of the best things you can do is step away. One of the best folders on your computer or on your phone is the drafts folder. Save it, let it sit, and come back and say, okay, is this really what I wanted to respond to? Is this how I really wanted to engage with this customer or this client? Your product and your brand are very, very important. You can have the best, bake the best cakes, you can have the best chicken sandwich, you can have whatever product or services it is. But if you're really missing the connection with the client and with the customer and with the end user, that's where it becomes dangerous. You don't want to end up losing your business or losing customers over that, because you don't know how many followers they have. You may have 1,200, they may have 12,000. And you getting engaged with them in conversations, it's better to take it offline, make a phone call, send them a card, and make it personal. Let them know that you care and that you're listening. Give them the opportunity to get it off their chest, but then ask them, as she said, what is it that we can do to make it right? And I know in North Chick-fil-A, what's today? Thursday? Monday, I chased down a bus because they ordered boxed meals, and we missed the one gluten-free meal for one kid on the bus. And I walked back in the store, I saw it there, and I knew that bus couldn't have gone that far down the street. So I chased down the bus for about 5 miles down 290. And I pulled in front of the bus, let my sunroof up, and I held up the bag of Chick-fil-A so he would know, okay, that's the sandwich that we're missing. Because I had nobody's phone number on that bus. And we eventually pulled over. I gave the girl her sandwich, and I was the hero for the day. But that's going that extra mile, because we promote hard hustle and hospitality. And at that point, my heart was beating really fast. And I had to hustle to get that out. But they appreciated the hospitality that I was willing to go that far just to get that one child their sandwich. But it made a difference to them, and we'll hold on to that. Yeah. Now, again, they may, find something else down the line to say, oh, this was cold, or I didn't get this on time, or this was wrong. But if you really give that extra to them, when they get to that moment of wanting to be fickle and maybe wanting to leave or go somewhere else, maybe they'll remember that crazy guy driving down the road holding up a bag out of a sunroof just to get a child a sandwich.
And that's what you call customer service.
Absolutely.
And it was your pleasure to do that, right? So, what is something that businesses forget to keep in mind when they're trying to increase their reach and audience? What's something that you think that a lot of businesses miss? Julie, let's start with you.
That's a tough one. I think it's up to the individual, but some of the things that they would miss are the experience that you're wanting to present whenever they, like with Typhoon Texas, they have a whole experience where they're coming in, and as Texas Pie Company as well, we do the same thing. We have a very family experience. I think a lot of times businesses may forget about that part of it. And just to engage with the customers, that's a huge part, because like what he did, running down Highway 290, that's amazing. We have similar experiences where we've done that, and that goes such a long way for customer loyalty. That one busload of people may generate another 500 customers because they all went home and talked about it. So engaging with your customer and listening to them. I think a lot of times people forget to listen. And that's really what people want, is to be heard. So I think engaging with your customers more on a personal level, because we've all become very technical where it's all on your phone, it's all with social media. We tell our customers, especially during the holiday season, please don't instant message me, don't talk to me on Facebook. I'm in the kitchen, my head's in the oven. I want to talk to you. Call me on the phone. Here's my private cell phone number. Call me. I might talk to you while I'm mixing a vat of pie mix, but call me. I want to talk to you. so that I can hear you and you can hear me. So that's with us. We want to engage on a personal level. I think that people forget to do that in our society right now.
Jason, you have any?
Yeah, a similar thing, and the question was about with social media, right?
Just
can you
in
repeat it?
general in marketing.
Just in general
What
marketing.
do you feel like maybe some businesses forget to?
Yeah, I would say the same thing as far as like the experience. I think, and I'm going to tailor it towards the social media because that has been our biggest marketing avenue. But with that is I think sometimes we do forget to give the story as well as the experience, and that needs to be put into almost every post, every image that you put out there. It's not only about the pizza roll that I'm putting out necessarily or that pint of beer. There's also a whole other family or company behind that is helping produce that service or product that's bringing it out there. May it be because we don't produce the beer, but that's somebody else's who worked hard, but also helping tell that story and a collaboration there. But the big one is your people that are working for you. They are the face of your company, and it's something we've done a little bit, but we're about to really do that push here soon. Is about get to know your bartender, get to know your server, get to know this person working at the Growler Bar or Chick-fil-A or the Pie Company or Typhoon, Texas. I think you'll see that on some, and I think people just kind of forget about that and maybe focus more on, well, here's this T-shirt in this color or whatever widget that you have or a service that you're trying to provide. But I think they forget to tell the story of why you're doing it and how you do it better than maybe somebody else.
Great point. Amy, what do you feel like people miss?
So what I often see are the CEOs and the owners of the company thinking a lot about, they also often have ideas on marketing that I may not agree with. And so what they keep in mind is what they want to tell and not the mindset of the customer. So I feel like that's where and this was very applicable in high tech. So I had the engineers with a new product and they're speaking Greek, and I had to learn Greek so that I could market the product. So just keeping in mind how your communications are received and where your customer's mindset is at, and what they're hearing may not be what you're trying to communicate. So,
Marvin, what would you say that people miss?
I think people miss people. I think that they miss using, first of all, as Brian said, tapping into your staff and your team. If you don't have them as champions of your brand and your cause, you're missing kind of that first line, because they can go out and sell your product. You want them to be honored and feel that they bring value to the service that you're offering. So utilizing the people that you have and being able to get them to tell your story. I always say and teach that marketing to me is a song and a dance. And to me, the song is the message. What are those 5 talking points that everybody should know about your business? Whether it's a nonprofit and you've got board members and you want to make sure that they stay on point, if they're talking to the media, you give them 5 talking points, and please don't deviate from those 5 talking points. You want to make sure that you have a good message and that everybody understands the message. And that's the song. No one can sing your song like you can because you're the one who wrote that song, you produced that song, you created that song. But you have to be able to teach that song. You have to have a long version, you have to have a short version, you have to have a remix version. You have to have all of that because that's your song and nobody can sing it like you. But then there's also the dance, and that's how do you navigate through systems? How do you navigate social media? How do I navigate if I go to a chamber meeting or an economic development or community development meeting or governor small business forum? How do I navigate all the systems? How do I navigate through my community? How do I navigate through City Hall? Understanding the dance is very important, and you have to realize that you have to entertain the correct partners. Who's going to take your hand and show you the steps so that you feel comfortable getting on the floor? That's really what marketing is to me. It's the song and the dance. And once you put those 2 pieces together, then it's a party. Until that happens, there's no time for playing, there's no real fun. You have to understand the song and the dance. So I think people need to understand that when you're delivering a song, songs are given to people because they tell a story. And if you're going to dance, you have to make sure whether it's, you're doing something solo, whether it's, a couple, whether it's, group in a line dance. It doesn't matter. You have to understand that people make that connection, and they're the ones who are going to get you to the next person. Social media is not necessarily about the platform, it's the people that are there.
What a great way to put it. So, in thinking about today's world right now, what do you feel like is a big or the biggest challenge to marketers or businesses that are trying to market themselves in Central Texas specifically? We'll just start with Amy and go on down the other one.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is just noise. There's a lot of noise out there. Social media has increased our marketing channel opportunities. It has also increased the noise in our brains. So I think that's the biggest challenge. So think about a way to stand out in a good way.
Julie?
One of the things that we did was, I heard someone earlier saying that you need to look at somebody else's websites or someone else's bakeries or restaurants or anything else to kind of be comparative. I think that one of the things that set Texas Pie Company apart, I mean, pie's not original, it's been around forever. We didn't really set out to be like anyone else. So I didn't go to other people's bakeries. We didn't go and look at everyone else, which made us more unique. So don't always try to compare yourself to everyone else, because then you try to be that. Be yourself and be proud of that, because it's going to make you unique. It'll make you stand out, and it'll give you that edge in Central Texas that may be the guy next door and you may be your competitor, but you're going to be a little bit more unique because you didn't go directly and compare yourself to someone else. So for me, be yourself and be unique.
You know, kind of which one are you? Because New York and Central Texas are two different audiences. And you really have to understand who is it that you're trying to reach. If you planning to grow globally, but right now you're local, you need to think local, but have that global vision. So I think the biggest challenge is people just really trying to, I guess, kind of set a map and realize your audience is here, that where you're going to engage with people one-on-one, but you have this global reach that social media and your website will reach as well. If you find the proper channels and take the time to really figure out who you're serving, you're not just serving people here, because someone could be here over the holidays, get a pie, take it home, and they tell all of their followers in San Francisco, and then now you have a whole other piece going in another part of the country. So I think really understanding geography and how it works and the connectedness between people, that's one of the biggest challenges I think people in Central Texas may face. They want to be the biggest and best in Austin or Pflugerville or South Side, North Side, East Side, but there are a whole lot more people. There was a commercial out a few years ago where this guy was driving down a kind of a rural area and out of the Midwest, and he pulls up and he said, I have the biggest, farm in the county. And he said, you realize that there's more to, more to this world than just the county? And that's where we have to get to, that there's more to it than just here. It's more than just your friends and your network that's coming in and buying your product and service. If they're not touting it online, if they're not a voice for you, if they're not out there singing your song, then maybe somehow there's been a disconnect.
Great, thanks. Jason?
Well, I guess it could go anywhere, but specifically for Central Texas, I think the biggest challenge right now is the amount of growth and the amount of influx and the changing of demographics that are happening here in Central Texas. I mean, everything's changing, just in general in the world, the way we communicate, the way we do anything. Hell, the way we buy our groceries now. My wife orders them on a damn phone and they show up. So I think that's the biggest challenge, especially now I'm a really small business owner. I wear a lot of hats, and as I've grown, I've known there's other people like them out there that have very specific jobs that they're very, very good at, and they stay on top of these things. And so as a small business owner who might wear all those hats, that's a really tough job to do, is to understand all those changes to demographics and the way people and the way they interact in commerce in general, especially here in Central Texas with the explosion of the growth that we're having.
Really great point. So with all this in mind, we've talked about trends, we've talked about challenges. How do small business owners stay on top of all these marketing trends? How do they know what they should be participating in next, or not participating in, removing themselves if that's the case?
Well, yeah, I can go real fast because I was going to talk a little bit about that. Same kind of thing goes with that. When I started, I did pretty much most of all that. I did all the social media for the first couple of years. It was a struggle. It was really tough, not knowing exactly what was changing, and it was constantly changing from month to month. And hell, you had a new Facebook update. Nobody could figure out how to work the damn thing for a couple of weeks. And it's the old way that I always heard my parents like, damn, I don't know how to work this new technology. Show me how to do it. And I did that for my family. Well, now I'm almost having to ask my kids. Well, so I at least figured out that as my company was growing, that I needed to find somebody more specialized that knows what they're doing. And so that's something that I did as I went out and brought someone in. Marvin mentioned about the outsourcing, and I think you're seeing a lot of that with a professional who can do that. I chose kind of keep it in-house somewhat. I hired a girl who came in, and that was her whole degree, was about marketing and social media and all this. So brought her into the culture that we have, because I think the other thing you can't forget is when I'm doing it, it's my story, it's me, it's everything about my company. So everything that's vomited on social media that I put out there is from me and coming from me. So when you do outsource that, maybe to somebody who's maybe not internally, you lose some of that culture and who the individual is and the company. And so I did bring somebody in and really brought her in and showed her what our company is about, and work with her. But I think you can forget about that, and you can lose sight of that.
Great, thanks. Anyone else have any ideas on that one? How to stay on top of these marketing trends?
I agree with Jason. I think that when you have people, when you bring them in, if whether it's a consultant or you bring someone in that's going to an intern and they're there, you want to make sure again that the voice is the voice of that company and that it represents your brand. You just can't have someone else and contract it out to an ad agency or my firm or anyone else's PR firm, and they're just going to be making these generic posts. It has to be personal. It has to have your feel. It has to have your sensitivity to it. So I would encourage you just to be sure to look for other people to get some of those things done. It's worth making the investment to bring someone in if you understand the value of marketing, which is what attracted me to these forums to begin with, because I saw marketing highlighted and featured. Marketing drives sales, and without sales, you're not going to be in business. So marketing is a valuable piece to the puzzle. And there was a question asked, I believe in one of the other sessions, what percentage do people allot for that? When I worked with the Kellogg Foundation, they said the number that they taught me, and I've kind of stuck with it, is 15%. And some people thought, wow, I should dedicate 15% of my revenues towards marketing. Yes, because if it's true marketing, it's going to drive sales. If you just have brochures sitting on a desk or sitting in an office or sitting on a rack, when you produce this product, it has to go somewhere. It's not designed to sit on your desk. When you develop a print piece or you're looking at a post, you have to try and think, who is it going to end up, what hands is it going to end up in? Are people going to take it around? Are they going to share it? When you look at social media, there are three very important things that have to happen. First of all, people have to like you. They have to hit like on the app. Next, you need to get them to comment. You have to have a conversation. The ultimate goal with social media is to get people to share, because you have no idea. We had a lady working at Chick-fil-A. She was working the front counter and the dining room host, and she was nice. She was great employee, great personality, and very low key. I found out, because my role was to go around and just kind of connect with people. I found out that she's a published author. She's published children's books and kind of like the Harlem, which is kind of two different streams. She got the children's book, and then she has the romance books, with the guy with the abs on the front. So I'm like, how did you supposed to? But anyway, I found that she was a published author with over 16,000 followers on Facebook. And she's our dining room host. And I thought, well, can you share this post with reference? When the chicken thing was going on. But it really makes a difference when you kind of find out what people have access to. So if you really embrace social media and connect with your people, I think you'll find that there's a lot more that you can do. Give yourself room to breathe. Give yourself room to enjoy family, to enjoy, yourself. Don't get so consumed with the business that you are the business. Because if you're not there one day and they can't still function, you really hadn't developed yourself as the leader.
Good points. Don't be afraid to use those resources wherever you can find them. Amy?
I've already forgotten the question, but
It was, how can small businesses stay on top of these marketing
okay.
trends?
I was engaged, so then I lost the question.
I'm taking notes, so I had to find the question
Okay.
myself.
So obviously financial resources are always, going to be limited. no matter what, even if you're a multi-million-dollar company, your budget's your budget. So I think that you, first of all, just look at your different marketing channels and pay attention to the analytics. Make sure the analytics match up with your audience. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer, but don't just assume, well, I have to, maybe I have to have a website. Well, what if you're a farmer that's working, like everybody, like you said, you're in the kitchen, like maybe you're selling to somebody who's also out in the field. Just think about the way your audience receives their message. The other thing I'll say is a little bit of a piggyback to what he was saying, but one of the things I learned at Dell, and I was in media relations at Dell for corporate enterprise, business to business stuff, but was leverage your internal audience. Anytime there was a product launch when I was at Dell, they had a splash screen pop up on my screen when I booted up for the day, and I found out that somebody is launching a new TV today in a different department. So when I'm drinking beer on the back porch with my neighbor later that night, and they're saying, we're going to go up to Best Buy and get a TV, and I'm like, you know what? Dell just launched a new TV online that's half that price, that's supposed to be even better. I'm able to speak to that even though I'm doing data center PR. So leverage your internal audience. Let all the people in your company should be able to answer the question, what do you do? And if it's a 2-minute long conversation, if somebody asks you what you do, then you need to refine that. So I think that will help you.
Thanks. And Julie, you have any suggestions?
Well, for me, with the city of Kyle, I reach out to them a lot to find out what's going on with our local government and our local community. And I realize we're on a global market, but there are so many people that come through your community with us. We're really reaching out with the tourism to bring more people through our city. And if they come through the city, they might stay in the city. So we reach out to the city of Kyle to find out what's going on with our local government, what buildings are going in, what new infrastructure is being built, so that we can reach out to some of those new businesses and try to communicate with them and help us reach our market, expand a little bit.
Great, thanks. I'm sorry.
I wanted to add something to that, because when you talk about connecting to the business community and knowing what's coming next, it's very important. I'll use Regions again as an example. I'm having a conversation with Priscilla, and she's telling me that in the next 2 years, that Regions Bank is planning to double their presence in the Austin market. They've decided that this is a market that is growing. They want to double their presence, so they're going to be going from maybe 10 branches to 20 in about 2 to 3 years. So when I look at small businesses like people that are represented in this room, there may be someone here who has a lawn care landscaping business. Well, there's going to be 10 possible new branches that you could be working with. If you have, if you do, floors or any type of services that they could use, that's an opportunity. So understanding and connecting with the business community and knowing who's expanding, who's coming to town, and how can my product or service or someone that I'm close to. If you have a restaurant and you cater, maybe you can cater the grand opening. That could give you exposure, because there are going to be a lot of people at the grand opening of all these branches. If you do well at the first one, maybe you'll get in on the other 9, and all the people that come could be several thousand, and they could talk about how great the food was, and you get more business. So think about what your connections are to the community, and again, connecting with the Chamber of Commerce and your local government. A lot of people say, I don't want to get involved in politics. If you own a business, you're already in the business.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
So, don't deny yourself the opportunity to stay connected with the community and know what's really coming, because there could be a competitor or a great support right down the street from you that's coming, and you're not prepared for that. So be aware of what's going on and the growth that's happening around you.
Great, thanks. So we only have a few minutes left, and I want to have time for a few questions, but just to kind of wrap up and give a final thought quickly, what would be the one thing that you believe a business should continue doing or should be doing right now? Go ahead, Amy. I see you really thinking about
The one thing.
One thing.
I think you need to know what you stand for. A lot of people think a brand is a logo, and I think that a brand is so much more than a logo. A brand is your promise and who you are. What do you stand for? So I think that most businesses are not super clear about that internally. So spending some time on that will really help strengthen your message and help your marketing dollars go farther.
Julie?
Overpromise not overpromise, underpromise and overproduce. That's what you want to be able to do, because you want to say, I can meet the deadlines. And like what she was saying, you want to be able to have it's not just a logo, it's about who you are, it's about your story, like they were saying, and it's your song. Be proud of who you are and sing it from the top of the hilltops if you need to. Because you're going to find people that are going to find that as being very genuine and being very real.
Marvin?
I think the one thing that small businesses should do is realize that you have to have a team. You can't do it by yourself. Initially, I was told if you're starting a business, you need to make sure you have your big three: your banker, your attorney, and your CPA. Well, now, I've added you need to have your marketing person there as well, because they're the ones that's going to educate you and help you drive those sales so that you can have those good conversations with the banker. If you really develop the right team, and that can not only just be your employees, but your family, friends, and your extended network. Develop that network and understand who your connections are. Understand where your connections are. Understand why you need to connect with certain groups. So to me, it's really building that team of support around you, because you can't do it all. Be willing to let go, because you have other people that are willing, but you have to be on the other side of that and let go a little bit.
Yeah, the one thing I would say, same thing as a small business owner, the growth that's going on here, depending on your success or whatever. I mean, many things, you got so much noise and so much going on around you that it can become overwhelming, stressful, especially if you're doing something good. Guess what? Competitors are going to come. People are going to try and do it too. And one of my best friends and mentor, he's here in the crowd, Perry, and he told me something when I was getting stressed. He said, and what I would say to any business owner, forget about all the noise and run your race. Your race is just you.
Yeah.
And focus on your business.
Very good point.
Yeah.
So a few of the biggest tips and gems that I took from today's conversation is it's mostly about relationships and networking. Even if you've never met that person, you can build a relationship with them. Culture, get your people involved and let your people get to know your people. Your people being your audience and your business and the experience. And if you find yourself angry typing, type, sit, delete, stay calm. So at this time, I would like to open it up for an opportunity for some questions for our panelists. We've got a question right here.
Hi. Just wondering, want to reach out. As a small business owner, do you have any tips for small business owners that are trying to approach much larger corporates for business opportunities? Anything in general that?
What kind of business do you have?
I actually run a third-party logistics company. We do last-mile catering delivery, and I've been trying to grow in Austin and compete against some really large companies. Will not name names, but our brand and service has definitely made an impact already in the community, and there are larger corporations I would like to approach to possibly partnership with. But I'm wondering, based companies like restaurants and catering that serve Austin first and foremost, because we are a local company and we want to grow from local, and we're actually expanding globally. So I need to.
Congratulations.
So how does she chase her bus down?
Yeah, I don't think there's any magic, solution or answer to that, really. Yes, I don't think there's any magic or single answer to that. But if I was to say, at least what I did is just persistence. Find out who that is and just keep going and don't stop. I mean, I know it sounds cliche or whatever, but it's really true. Just don't give up and keep networking. Figure out who that person is and just keep going for it.
And I think a way to, it's trying to find who the right person is to connect with. And it may just because I'm in the field, but if there's a website or you can find a way to connect with the marketing or the PR person, we're usually the people that kind of have our hands in a lot of things within organizations. And we like to meet, we like to connect, we like to network. So I think if you can reach out to that person, they can kind of get you to, may not necessarily be the person in purchasing, but the PR person can possibly go and talk to purchasing on your behalf and explain to them why it's a good PR move to support this small woman-owned business. And give you an opportunity to have a presentation with them. So I would probably, if you're looking for a title or type of person within a big company, I would probably maybe look at marketing or PR, community relations. There's usually someone in that role within some of these larger companies that you can connect with. But I'd like to talk to you because I don't want to have to keep chasing down buses. And it'd be easier for me to just outsource that to you.
So we're running out of time here, unfortunately. I think we could probably continue this conversation all day, but I would encourage you to interact with your panelists. First and foremost, find out how to find them. Where can you be found? All of you, where can you be found? Go down the road. Other than at the bar. Amy,
I'll be at the Growler.
Yeah.
We might all be there later.
Yeah, that's right. Very true
Have a
statement.
networking event.
Amy, where can you be
So
found?
marketing@typingtexas.com.
Julie?
Texas Pie Co. on Instagram, Texas Pie Company on Facebook, and Texas Pie Company is our .com as well.
Marvin?
Or at the bakery, I'm always there.
Yeah. Marvin O. Smith online, but you can see me afterwards. I need to run to the car and get some cards, but would love to connect with any of you and offer you any support that I possibly can.
Jason?
Ours is txgrowlerbar.com, and then just type in the Growler Bar on any of the social media, and you'll find us.
So follow, comment, share,
Like,
like. Well,
That's right.
we already like you, but we need to do it where it counts. So I just have one little housekeeping bit to take care of. There are people that have been curious and been very interested in all of the sessions, but not able to attend all the sessions. So if you'll pick up one of these cards, if I run out here, they have more at the governor's office booth in the hallway. They're going to actually post the sessions online. They've been recording them, so you have an opportunity to see everything. The next thing is be sure to visit your exhibitors and vendors during your break, and then reconvene to the main ballroom. Lunch and keynote address starts at 12:30.